The hidden side effects of coffee creamer. Daily use. TCC. You wake up, shuffle to the kitchen, and before your brain is even fully online, the creamer is already in your hand. Hazelnut, French vanilla, sweet cream. It smells incredible. It turns your coffee into something that actually feels worth drinking. And honestly, it's the best part of the morning for a lot of people. But that little bottle you've never thought twice about. Researchers have been quietly building a case against it for years. Here's exactly what happens inside your body every time you pour it in. Number 7, insulin signaling disruption. You grab the one that says zero sugar, zero guilt. Feels like the responsible call. Here's what may be happening in your body while you feel responsible. When a sweet flavor hits your tongue, artificial or not, your brain can fire a signal to your pancreas. Glucose incoming, prepare insulin. This anticipatory response exists in some people to varying degrees, and it doesn't check whether the sweetness came from real sugar or a lab. So for certain individuals, insulin may be released in anticipation of glucose that barely arrives. That mismatch matters. Blood sugar dips slightly. The body, expecting a payoff that never fully came, pushes for carbohydrates to complete the cycle it already started. That 3 p.m. craving, starchy, sweet, hard to explain, may be a loop your zero sugar creamer helped build. Over months and years of daily repetition, this kind of signaling confusion is one of the factors researchers associate with declining insulin sensitivity. Not a guaranteed outcome in every person, but a documented mechanism in real humans is worth understanding before you pour. Number 6, gut barrier disruption. Do you like your coffee creamy, smooth, that texture that feels almost indulgent? That doesn't happen by accident. Most creamers use an emulsifier called carrageenan, derived from red seaweed, to hold everything together and keep it shelf stable for months on a room temperature shelf. In 2024, a randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trial published in BMC Medicine gave participants 250 milligrams of carrageenan twice daily. In overweight individuals, the results were measurable. Insulin sensitivity declined, inflammatory markers, including CRP and IL-6, rose, and signs of increased intestinal permeability appeared. This is level 1 clinical evidence, not a rat study, not a food survey. The science here is still developing, and effects appear to vary by dose, population, and the specific type of carrageenan used. But the directional signal is consistent enough that a separate clinical trial on pre-diabetic patients found that simply removing carrageenan improved blood sugar control and gut function without changing anything else. Some researchers propose that carrageenan may affect the mucus layer lining your intestines, a physical barrier between gut content and your bloodstream. If that barrier weakens, the immune system starts responding to things it shouldn't be encountering. Inflammation activates quietly, at low grade, day after day, because the trigger keeps arriving every morning in your mug. Number 5, trans fat accumulation. The label says zero trans fat. Most people stop reading there, but there's a regulatory detail that the food industry has long understood and most consumers haven't. In the US, a product can legally be labeled zero trans fat if it contains less than 0.5 grams per serving. The serving size on most creamers is 1 tablespoon. Most people use 3 or 4, let's be honest. So in products that still use partially hydrogenated oils, your real-world intake per cup could be meaningfully higher than that label implies. Across 2 cups a day, consistently, across a year, that adds up to a significant cumulative intake of a compound the American Heart Association says has no safe lower threshold. Not a little is fine. The recommendation is 0. Trans fats work against your cardiovascular system on 2 fronts at once, raising LDL while actively suppressing HDL. The shift in your cholesterol profile is slow, silent, and shows up years later in blood work that nobody thinks to connect back to the morning routine. Number 4, blood sugar, spike, and energy crash. A lot of people switch to non-dairy creamers, thinking they're making the cleaner choice. Plant-based, lactose-free, sounds lighter. Then they check the ingredients and find corn syrup solids and maltodextrin. Maltodextrin is a processed starch, typically from corn or wheat, and it absorbs fast. Faster than table sugar in many formulations, fast enough to spike blood glucose sharply and produce a proportional crash on the other side. So the coffee that was supposed to sharpen your focus gives you a brief lift, followed by fog, fatigue, and the urge to reach for another cup with more creamer, and the loop runs again. This is less about caffeine dependency than most people assume. It's a blood sugar pattern wearing a caffeine habit as a disguise. Number 3, caloric creep and passive overconsumption. Nobody measures creamer. That's just the reality. You pour until it looks right, until the color is good, until it smells the way it's supposed to. And most people have no idea how many calories that actually is. Researchers at institutions like Harvard, T.H. Chan School of Public Health have consistently documented something called passive overconsumption with liquid calories. The phenomenon where your brain simply doesn't register liquid calories the way it registers food. No satiety signal, no fullness cue. You drink the creamer-heavy coffee, feel nothing, eat the same breakfast anyway, and the surplus accumulates quietly in the background. 2 to 3 cups a day with a generous pour adds between 150 and 300 calories from creamer alone. That's up to 2,100 extra calories a week from something you never thought to count. Over 3 months, that arithmetic builds silently to 1 or 2 kilograms. Not from your meals, not from anything you'd identify as indulgence, from the thing you put in your coffee twice a day without thinking. And here's the part that makes it worse. These creamers are specifically engineered to be that way. The sugar-fat combination, the artificial flavor intensity, the sweetness level, all of it is calibrated to make you use more than you plan to. That's not an accident, that's product design. Number 2, offsetting coffee's protective benefits. Large cohort studies, millions of person-years of data, consistently show that black coffee is associated with meaningful reductions in type 2 diabetes risk. The mechanisms are real and documented. Coffee improves certain markers of insulin sensitivity, modulates inflammation, and supports liver enzyme function. It is genuinely one of the more defensible things in most people's daily intake. That benefit is linked to black coffee, or at minimum, coffee without a payload of ultra-processed additives. Most creamers fall squarely into the category of ultra-processed foods, formulations designed for shelf life and palatability, not metabolic health. When you add carrageenan, which some trials show reduces insulin sensitivity, alongside rapidly absorbed starches that spike blood glucose, alongside sweeteners that may interfere with insulin signaling, you are likely offsetting some of those protective effects. Maybe not eliminating them entirely, but you're pulling against the very biology that makes coffee worth drinking in the first place. Number 1, sustained organ workload. Every artificial flavor, every stabilizer, every preservative in that bottle gets processed by your liver and kidneys. 1 cup isn't a crisis. Your body is built to handle occasional chemical exposure. That's not the concern. The concern is the word occasional. Your liver doesn't get days off when the daily incoming load consistently includes a mix of artificial compounds, not from a bad week, not from a special occasion, but from the very first drink of every morning. Every day, for years, the detox burden becomes a background constant rather than a passing event. Over time, in individuals with any degree of metabolic stress or early liver strain, that sustained workload compounds in ways that don't flag on any single lab result but accumulate quietly in the background of your health. None of this is an argument against coffee. By the evidence, coffee is one of the more defensible things most people consume daily. The argument is against what decades of marketing convinced us was a natural part of drinking it. Real milk, a small amount of cream, unsweetened oat or almond milk with an ingredient list short enough to read in one breath. Even cinnamon, which has documented effects on insulin sensitivity, adds real flavor without a metabolic trade-off. The creamer was never really about your coffee. It was about making a processed product feel inseparable from a ritual you already loved. Same coffee, same habit. The only thing that changed was what you poured into it.